St. Louisan, who has been a member of the blogosphere since the turn of the millennium. At some point in his long storied history, Ryan has become a happiness engineer. I'd love to hear more about that. Maybe he'll share that at Automatic, helping users of WordPress. Digital aficionado, human man, and recontour. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan.
Good morning. This is still 10 o'clock, still pretty early on a Saturday. So I just kind of want to do some basic introduction stuff, and then I want to ask you guys some questions so I can take a temperature of the room and figure out where to start. And then once I know where to start, we're actually going to do some live demo stuff. I'll talk about some basics of WordPress, some stuff that I think you should know. And then I'm actually going to try to have as much time as possible for Q&A, because usually in a room full of people who haven't used WordPress very much, the questions and answers tend to be the more important part of the presentation. Because some of you may have dabbled in it, maybe you have some questions about a specific thing, or maybe some of you have used it quite a bit and you want to know about just one little thing that you think everybody in the room would benefit from knowing and you want to have somebody answer it. So that's what we're going to do this morning. This is my information. I am indeed, my business card, which I don't have any with me today, actually does say happiness engineer, which is our term at Automatic for supporting end users of our products. The idea being that we have code engineers who build the products, and then we have happiness engineers who then go and they make users happy using the products. When they're not happy and sad because they can't figure out what's going on and they have a problem. So that is what I do. If you want to learn more about me or know about some of the stuff that's going on, you can visit my website at Markel.com. I also push updates to Twitter at Markel. So the big question for everybody in this room right now is kind of what is WordPress? So I want to just ask the room real quick. Raise your hands. How many of you in this room attended WordCamp St. Louis last year? Okay, welcome back for year number 2. How many people in this room have used WordPress already before setting foot in this room? About half, maybe 2/3. Okay. And how many people out of those? How many people? Keep raising your hands if you use WordPress. How many people have heard of WordPress? Some of you from me, and kind of have an idea what it is. Okay, so most people. So the homepage for WordPress, the software project, is at WordPress.org. And let's take some language from WordPress.org. The simple and short explanation of WordPress. WordPress is web software that you can use to create a beautiful website or blog. We'd like to say that WordPress is both free and priceless at the same time. And a little bit more information. The core software is built by hundreds of community volunteers. And when you're ready for more, there are thousands of plugins and themes available to transform your site into almost anything you can imagine. Over 60 million people have chosen WordPress to power the place on the web they call home. We love you to join the family. WordPress is a piece of software, like a piece of software that you would install on your computer to do something. But instead of installing it on your computer, you install it on a web host somewhere out in the internet. Okay? So you have hosting, and then you install WordPress on that hosting, and then WordPress runs your website. So when I go to ryanmarkel.com, WordPress is the software that generates the information that you see on that website. Okay, so it's kind of the base stuff that generates what people see when they go to your website. That's what WordPress is. It's a software package. 17% of the web, as best we know right now, is using WordPress. This is the entire World Wide Web. 17% of it is using WordPress for their site, their blog, their project, whatever, you name it. It's a huge chunk of the internet. As said on the WordPress homepage, millions, tens of millions of sites. So this gives WordPress some really distinct advantages. First of all, it has this absolutely huge community that's great. And as you can see from the WordCamp, we love to help each other out, and we love to talk about WordPress. WordPress people talk about WordPress and feedback. The other thing is that the WordPress project is under just constant improvement. Okay? The thing about WordPress, and I'll talk about this a lot more, actually, this was talked about in the earlier session. I'll talk about this in the closing remarks. WordPress as a software package is not owned by any one person or company. It's what we call an open source project, which means that anybody can add code to it, can submit changes to WordPress to make it better. And then there are a group of people who then add those changes to WordPress. And so it's not just one person or a team of programmers, it's not people working for a specific company who are improving the software. It's actually a lot of people who improve the software out of their own time. Everything is volunteer. People who work on WordPress by and large are not paid to do so. So generally what they're doing is they're working to improve it, to solve something that they've run into themselves. So it's a very, very dedicated, very, very active community. And so we'll go back to this again and point out very quickly in the second paragraph, hundreds of community volunteers. And at some point, maybe in the future, as you get used to WordPress, this could be you, right? Anybody can contribute. The other thing is, if you look at this sentence right here, it uses the terms website or blog. So now we get to the big question. This also came up in the earlier session. Are you making a blog or are you making a website? Not now. Okay? We're not going to talk about that right now because right now we're going to talk about just learning the software, understanding what it does, how it works, and how you can use it. So, what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to doing a little bit of a live demonstration. How many people in this room have installed a web software package, or installed WordPress, or would say that they understand how installing WordPress works? Raise your hands. Okay, fewer people than in the previous group. So, we're going to start with the assumption that you have, this is actually the first screen that you see on completion of installation of WordPress. Okay, we're starting with a brand new WordPress blog site, whatever you want to call it. So this is going to pre-assume that you have figured out how to get WordPress installed. What I'll do is I'll tell you right now that there are multiple ways for you to do this. The first is kind of the old school way, which is you go and you rent hosting and you install it yourself and you figure out how to set up the database. And if you feel nervous when I say the word database or install, then we move on to another option, and that is a lot of the more common web hosts like Bluehost, GoDaddy, HostGator, you've heard of these guys before, DreamHost. They have what are called one-click installers for WordPress, where you go and you set up your account with them, they make it really easy, and then usually very prominently in the control panel for your hosting, there is a little control that they call a one-click install, which is exactly that. You say, I want WordPress, and then they say, press this button, and you press the button, and then about 5, 10, 15 minutes later, your WordPress site is set up, and when you go to it, you end up here. Like everything else is done for you. Third option is if you don't want to mess with updating WordPress, you are okay with having less access to things like plugins and themes. There is actually a hosted solution for WordPress available, and you can get a free blog. This is actually a great way to test drive WordPress. You can go to WordPress.com. And WordPress.com is a hosted platform for WordPress where it's actually run by the company that I work for. And we have some 30 million blogs at WordPress.com, and you can sign up for one for free. And then you can kind of get a taste of the WordPress administration interface, how to post, and you can actually run a very, very good basic website on WordPress.com. You can purchase an upgrade that gives you a whatever.com domain. You can purchase upgrades that give you the ability to further customize the site beyond we're getting close to 200 themes down on WordPress.com. The idea is that WordPress.com manages all of the software part of it for you, including the updating and the installation of things, and then you just focus on what you want it to look like, and then writing. So we're going to proceed with the idea that you have either done one of these one-clicks or you've installed WordPress yourself. We're going to talk about the self-hosted WordPress. This is an installation that you are controlling yourself, you've installed it, and you're ready to go.
And those are the .orgs.
Right. You get the software from WordPress.org. That's where you get the software package. And you can actually find on the WordPress.org website, there's a little hosting tab up here at the top. So if you're looking for a host that offers a one-click install or easy access to it, we actually have a list of those on WordPress.org. And you can skip to one of those and get started right away. So back to installation. When you first set up WordPress, you need some basic information. So my site title is going to be, my awesome WordPress. We're going to talk a little bit about very, very basic security for WordPress as well. By default, the first user that WordPress creates is called admin. Please change that. Because everybody who is going to want to gain access to your site or to hack it to change something is going to assume that you have this username admin. And if we get rid of this username admin, it makes everybody's lives like a lot easier. So what we're going to do is we change it instead of my last name. Okay. Now we need to pick a password. This is where I'm going to entreat upon you to please not set your password the same as your username. Please don't make it a password. Or password 123, or it can actually, there's like a list of the most common passwords, and it's insane. Like 12345 is one of the 10 most common passwords that people choose for online services. If I'm somebody who wants to gain access to your account, I'll have it in like a day, the most, and that's typing it in myself. So please do something that is higher security, higher strength. And so when I enter a password, you'll see that there is a little meter that tells me how strong my password is. We want that to read strong. The stronger the password is, the less likely it is that somebody will be able to gain access to your site by just guessing your password, which is generally how people gain access to websites.
And if you use the same password for more than one site.
But yes, different subject altogether.
I'm just glad.
But yes, and then you have to enter it again, and it will tell you if it's mismatched all the way up until you have a matching password. Then you want to enter an email address so that WordPress can send you administrative messages until you when somebody comments on your site. That way the software can actually find you. It sounds a little bit strange, like robots are coming after me, but this is just so the WordPress, the software can send you administrative notices. And then you can choose whether or not you want to allow search engines to be able to index your site, which is Google, Yahoo, Bing. Do you want them to be able to scan your pages for keywords, and then you show up in keyword searches? If you are just getting started with your site, you're not quite ready for the public to be able to find you through Google, you can turn this off. We can always turn it back on. I'll show you how to do that in a little while. And then we just click on this little button that says Install WordPress, and the little WordPress gnomes kind of go and do their thing. And now we can log in to WordPress. We use our username and password that we previously selected. I'll just have it remember me for the future. And then we log into WordPress. So now you get this nice little welcome screen that says, welcome to your new WordPress site. And it gives you some information about first steps of WordPress and help documentation. Very, very useful things. If you're using WordPress for the first time and you just installed it, I highly recommend you look at some of this information so you get kind of the bird's eye view of the new stuff you'll be working with. And then when you're done with it, you just go up here and click dismiss. Now, I would like to ask, what's the first thing that you notice about the WordPress admin and what it's trying to tell me?
Day.
Okay. I cannot stress this often enough. There's going to be a message in the top of your dashboard here when there's an update available for WordPress. Anytime you are on your site, there's also going to be this little update icon up here that says there's one update available. The number one cause of WordPress sites being hacked is because people don't update them to the latest version of the software.